Hi.
I've had the PYXIS 12K for a little over a month now. I've been shooting like crazy, rigging it out to get it perfect for me and the way I shoot, grading the footage, and overall absolutely loving this camera. So what I want to say is this is a first impressions. This is not a review by any means. I just want to share my findings and experience using this camera just for a month or so. I would encourage you to not get too hyped from this video. Don't make a crazy purchasing decision after watching this. I just want to hang out with you guys for a little bit. Let's get this disclaimer over with. Yes, I know already that there was a recall on the PYXIS 12K, but it was only with certain serial numbers that were this number or below. If you don't know, basically there was an issue with some of the early units from the PYXIS 12Ks that had this banding issue in the footage or some artifacting, and you can get this fixed for the next 3 years for free by sending it back. They'll either fix the part or they'll replace the camera for free, send it back to you. So thank God I don't have to deal with that. Sorry if you had to. The Blackmagic Ursa G2 was my first real cinema camera that I ever purchased and used for client work, and I freaking adored that camera. I still miss it to this day. It was so perfect for the way I like to shoot. Blackmagic cameras function in a big variety of different types of shooting. Like one-man band, run and gun stuff like this, it worked super well. But I also got to use this on a handful of super fun music videos. As I said in that red video, me and my buddy Kevin shot Silent Planet's trilogy video using his Dragon 6K, my Ursa G2, and Kevin slayed the edit. He was able to merge the two Red Raw and Blackmagic footages perfectly together in the edit. It's a crazy chaotic edit anyway, but he managed to sell it and it looked awesome. So yeah, what I loved about the Ursa G2 and what I love about Blackmagic, for that camera specifically, I loved the NDs as I said, but also Blackmagic Raw is just so awesome. And after testing the recent ZR in that video I did, I think I can confidently say now that B-Raw is my favorite video codec I've ever used. Yes, Red Raw has like a ton of flexibility, tons of different quality options, but B-Raw is just like married to DaVinci Resolve. It's absolutely meant to be. Also, Blackmagic Color Science is, I think, my favorite. It just has this like smooth, cinematic, just high quality look to it, but it's also not too sharp. Like it doesn't look too digital. They just find a way, even in the 12K, we'll dive into this in a little bit when we hop into a footage deep dive, but even at higher resolutions on their sensors, like it still looks like Blackmagic. It just has that signature beautiful, smooth, quality look to it. But then you have like the usability things like the menus, the screen. It's been the same since the G2 for the most part, and I'm in love with that whole feature set. So let's move into the PYXIS 12K. I want to talk about the build and design because this thing is just a hunk. There are some things that I don't like we'll get into, but overall this just looks and feels incredible. It's not absolutely freaking massive like Ursa's, and it's not super weird shaped like some of the pocket cinema cameras. I know some people really like how those are shaped, but I've never really been a fan, especially with how plasticky the bodies are. But now we have this fresh PYXIS design, which seems to sit between Ursa and the pockets. We'll see what they do with the pocket stuff. We're gonna shelf that for now. But other than no NDs on this camera, which is, oh, it hurts. Design-wise, they've nailed this thing and like nailed it hard. All right, so we're gonna hop into Resolve here for a footage deep dive on the PYXIS 12K. We got Nova here just sprinting through the snow. The sensor on this camera is unreal. It's their RGBW sensor, which is unlike pretty much anything on the market. I think what's unique about the sensor with the RGBW tech is that it's stacking 6x6 photo sites per pixel, I believe. You got your red, green, white. I don't know what that means, but it sounds cool. Now, one thing that's cool about shooting slow-mo on this camera in the HFR mode is that it does slow it down for you. So you can see right here, it says 24 FPS, 4K, but clearly this is shot in a higher frame rate. The bummer about that is I can't see what the original frame rate was. Nova's just sprinting with her sweater on. Gosh, it's just the image of this camera is unreal, man. The blacks are pretty crushed here on Indy's face. Let's just see what we can do. I have a simple grade here. That's the beauty of RAW though, is it's like so easy to work with. So I just have it set to 4K, Gen 5 color. You get to change your ISO here if you want, and you do get access to highlight recovery, which is so awesome. You can see it actually usually working in the waveforms here. See how it gives you a little extra detail in those highlights, which you'll be able to see right up here. That's off, that's on. It doesn't do a lot in this particular situation because it was just an overcast day, but it is pretty sweet. And then also another cool option in Resolve with Blackmagic Raw is this apply LUT option, which is built into the Raw tab here and just gives you the Blackmagic Rec 709 LUT, but it's still pretty flat, so it gives you a lot of flexibility still. And then maybe it was my film look creator that was kind of crushing this area because there's still detail in the blacks right there, a lot to work with. Yeah, my film look creator is just blasting that. Nova just looking cinematic AF. I mean, this sensor just right out of camera looks so freaking incredible. Absolutely nothing going on in the brain for her. Love her though. Oh my gosh, look at that, dude. Man, this looks cool. Another good thing about this camera is it does record audio in the HFR modes as well. So you can use the raw audio for sound design and stuff, which I love doing. I love having layers of audio underneath visuals. It just really helps sell whatever effect you're going for. It is a little heavy on the computer once you have a grade on it though. It's playing back better than Red Raw from my experience. Oh, that's cool. Right away, I would want to pull this exposure down so I could just do that here. So cool. This shot was pretty cool just to test the flexibility of the shadows with the HDR wheels and stuff. Like if I take all this off, obviously we still have detail everywhere, which is amazing. If I take highlight recovery off, yeah, everything's still like exposed well, which is cool. I usually just leave highlight recovery on if there's any sort of really bright highlights, just kind of smooths them out a little bit. Everything was pretty overexposed up here, so I brought it down with the HDR wheels there. Little film look creator on top, and you can see detail just everywhere, and it's also so clean. Oh, is this oh yeah, this is noise reduction. I don't even think it needs noise reduction. Holy cow, that's clean. I just want to see if this kills any of the sharpness, because that's what I love about this sensor so far is it's really sharp. Obviously it's super high res, but it still like has that soft roll off in the details. Yeah, noise reduction, I use it very minimally on certain shots and it doesn't seem to kill the sharpness like at all. But again, I'm using barely any. I got some comments saying you wanted to see more Gwen, so here you go. And I guess I can like show maybe how I just do a quick raw grade. I would usually just go 4K. And then if you change just the clip, that's what gives you access to all of this stuff. Look at the highlight recovery here, what it's doing. You can see in the waveform, it's giving us a lot more. We're still clipping right above that church. It's like magic sauce, dude. It's crazy. And then you can just add the Blackmagic LUT right in there. That's 2 clicks. Literally nothing else, and it looks that good, which is so cool. The raw tab, whatever you do in this tab here, does not affect this node. So if I delete this, the raw tab is a completely separate thing, which is cool because underneath your nodes, you can always come back and adjust this stuff and it doesn't have to affect a node. Love that. Here though, I would probably just set up my HDR wheels. With HDR wheels, you gotta be like subtle. It can definitely like break your image apart and make it look super plasticky like that. It looks super fakey jakey really. But with subtle adjustments, you can really get amazing results. I like contrasty, punchy images. One thing I've noticed about Blackmagic and their color science is the blues, the tones are already leaning into that more teal cyan look that I personally do to all my footage without me doing anything. You just gotta go teal orange, brothers. So I also wanted to take a look at some other footage tests that I shot with my buddy Musafiki, aka Moose, aka Big Daddy, aka Skibbity Goo, aka Robert's Rental Indie. We're gonna look at this. I shot this in 8K. We're gonna put it in 4K though, so that it doesn't destroy my computer. Turn on recovery, add that LUT. Oh my, right off the bat, it looks so good. Beautiful punch. Let's just throw the film look creator on these shots, see what we can come up with. Everything's a little warm for me, so now I can come into my raw tab here. Ooh, look at those blues start to pop out. I mean, I don't know what else I would want to do to it right now. All right, let's just blast this onto all of our clips and see what happens. Big Daddy Z-Ball. Oh, dude, that looks so cool. Dude, that's a freaking movie, man. That's a movie to me. Oh, dude. That's sick. I love all the high frame rate options in this camera, and I just quickly want to run through that with you. You can skip this section if you're not interested, but here's all the resolutions and frame rates. So if we go into this little main settings tab here, this is your main resolution. So 4, 8, 9, 12K. We'll start in 4K, and then these are all your different like sizes within 4K. And then this is how you get rid of the menu options. And then you just tap on your FPS here And then this is gonna be your your off speed frame rate, so you can see like what all options you have. You can either tap these presets or use the slider. Usually you get your highest frame rates in this 2x4:1 mode because it's cropping in to give you a little extra frames. So my regular speed's 23.98, but in 4K, I can go all the way up to 112. So that's the maximum frame rate you get from this camera. 4K, 112. And then 17:9. I love like you can adjust the off speed here so that when you tap your HFR button on the camera, it just automatically changes to that. So in DCI, you can do 4K 90. Interesting, in 16:9, you only get 4K 84. I don't know why. And then 4K open gate, which I use a ton, 4K 72 open gate. Pretty insane. Let's jump all the way up to 12K. So in 12K open gate, got to give it a second to switch to 12K. In open gate 12K, I can do full frame sensor, 40 frames per second. 12K open gate 40, what? And then this is usually where you get your highest. You can do 12K 60, and that is with the top and bottom cropped a little bit. 12K 17:9, you can do 12K 50. Insane, dude. All right, 8K, I use this a lot as well. The highest frame rate you're gonna get in 8K. In the 2:4:1 mode, you'll get your highest frame rate of 8K 112 FPS, unreal. And then you can do 17:9 in 90, so 8K 90. In open gate, you can do 72, 8K 72 FPS, insane. But again, mostly I shoot in 4K, either like 17:9, open gate, depending on the project. If I need high frame rate, I'll do this and just crop in. Or I shoot 8K with this very similar settings if I just want a little extra resolution, depending on what I'm shooting. I've been absolutely loving the results, and it gives you so much flexibility with that RGBW tech that doesn't crop in on most of the modes. Pretty awesome. All right, guys, this is my handheld PYXIS 12K rig. It's a bit of a Frankenstein, bunch of kind of random parts on it, so I want to break it down for you guys. I like handheld rigs that are as compact as possible. You might have noticed I'm using this super cool, oh gosh, I might sneeze. You might have noticed I'm using this really cool small rig cart here. Let me zoom out a little bit on this shot. So they're not technically sponsoring this video. They're not paying me, but they did send me this cart. So I wanted to just like shout them out because this thing is super cool. There's been so many times where in the past, I've been doing productions with friends where we have these carts that we use to carry our gear around like a steel factory or something. In the past, like these carts have been ungodly expensive. I obviously never owned one of these. I would use them whenever somebody else on the set would have one, but they were so convenient for hauling lights, batteries, like big cameras around. Even just having one in my studio here has been awesome just for rig builds like this. Just a place where I can be like, you know what, I need to pull this over here. But when I have gigs, I'm definitely gonna be bringing this thing with me because it breaks down pretty quickly and it folds up and has these little baby travel wheels on it to make it easily rollable on flat surfaces. Like if you're taking it through an airport or something, you actually can check this, which is pretty crazy. So far, the quality feels just as good as that extremely expensive cart I've used in the past. But yeah, I just wanted to say a huge thank you to SmallRig for believing in me and my channel and sending me cool stuff sometimes. It means a lot. But let's get into this rig build because it does also have some SmallRig parts. Not sponsored, they're not paying me. This thing is just absolutely freaking glorious. Okay, first of all, just like look how tiny this little box is. On the back here, you see the BPU slot. I do want to get some of those CF Express slots as well. Very interesting. Actually, I'll just talk about that right now. You got to be sure to get fast enough CF Express Type B cards. I've had a good experience with this one so far, although I wish it was a larger size. Compared to like the old days of shooting on the Red Dragon and like using red mags that cost more than my car, I'm like, this is doable. Before I plop a lens on here, let me show you this front area here. So I have this guy, this little USB cable plugged into the front USB-C port, and this is plugged into the Blackmagic monitor that you can get in a kit. I know it's small, but it's extremely lightweight, and I have it set up where it can just be adjusted very quickly. And then on the top and bottom, I have these Condor Blue PYXIS plates. Condor Blue makes some cool stuff, but also some really weird stuff. Like their full PYXIS cage is not interesting to me because it's like 800 individual pieces. I just wanted the top and the bottom. So shout out to them for sending me that. That was really cool. So I have these two little plates and then this monitor mount here, which is just one single screw, but then I can adjust the tension here to make adjusting it very quick and easy. And then another thing to notice on the top here is this NATO rail. I found like the perfect length. You got to make sure it's wide enough here so that these screws fit into the PYXIS holes. Everything I'm mentioning in this video will be linked below, so if you do want to get something, you won't buy the wrong thing. No pressure at all. I have this Arca Swiss plate. I'll show you why that's on there in a second. Let me put this lens on. This is the Sigma 2470 Mark II L mount. I decided to go with L mount because I thought it was the most versatile, because if I do get some PL lenses, I'll just do a PL to L adapter with an ND in the middle. So here's with the lens on, looks nice. I just love that the monitor is relatively close to the sensor. I don't like when my monitors are up high. Now I'll explain this Arca Swiss here. So I had this laying around. This is a bracket adapter. There's no electronics with it at all. It takes Arca Swiss right here and then locks on, and then you can adjust the V-mount plate on the back. And it has these notches that like force it into a 90-degree angle, which I really like. So this just slides on to the back here, like so. And then there's these two pins on the sides of the plate that keep it from moving. And then there's the perfect amount of clearance actually for it to go over the Condor Blue plate. And I just lock this down so it doesn't move at all. It's super tight. This switch here allows you to extend this back if you need extra room to plug in IO ports or grab your CF Express B card. Very cool that that's adjustable on the fly like this. So now I would take a V-mount battery. There's no electronics going on. So this is just sitting on the camera. I also got this LEMO cable. It goes from the LEMO pin to a D-tap, so I can power the camera with this. So I'm actually gonna pop the battery off. Here's where the LEMO goes in. And then before I plug this into the battery to get power to the camera, this is the top handle I chose to go with. It has this little pinch clamp that goes on the rail. Slide it on, pinched down. It's on there super solid. And then if you want it off, it's super fast, which is, I really like how that breaks down. Then I take my D-tap here, and I've just been wrapping it around this cable just to keep it a little bit tidy. Make sure it's the right direction. Plug it in, and then this is what we're working with. It's not like the cleanest setup in the world, but it gets power to the camera relatively safely. So now one thing with the V-mounts on is it can be kind of hard to reach your power switch right in here. So a lot of times I have to like move this back, turn it on, and then tighten it. It takes only 1 second. It does give you a little protection. You could see it that way, where it's like, you're not gonna accidentally turn the camera off, but the switch is already pretty recessed in the body where you don't have to deal with that, which is great. But now I just powered the camera on. That's another thing, is this camera turns on very quickly. Between 8 and 10 seconds is what it seems like. That's the entire rig other than ND, which is obviously what I think is the biggest flaw of this camera. So my solution, look how small this magnetic filter is. It's super tiny. It's called the MCS, and it's a 1.5 to 10 stop VND. Basically on the front of my lens here is this tiny little filter ring, which is also just insanely thin, if you can see that. This just screws on to your lenses. I went with 82, and then for my smaller filter rings, I'll just do like a 72 to 82 step up and then put one of these on the 82, and then this just magnetically attaches. It's pretty strong. Like, I'm not gonna say it's the strongest magnet in the world, but I love that I don't have to do the like Polar Pro twist lock thing, but it still has enough magnetic resistance to let me adjust the ND on the fly, which I really like. It's been a nice solution for a camera that doesn't have internal NDs. I just had to find something that was as low friction as possible because this doesn't have internal NDs. And that was one reason I was able to kind of like get over the fact that they skipped putting those in this camera. So yeah, I would recommend this one. So far, I've had a really good experience with it. There's the logo. I'll link it below as well. But yeah, 1.5 to 10 stops.